Have you ever wondered what economics is really all about? I mean, if you strip away all the complicated charts and the jargon, what's left? Well, it turns out it's all built on one single powerful idea. An idea that affects pretty much every decision you make, every business, and every single government on the planet. So, let's dive in and really get to the bottom of the fundamental problem of economics.
It's a pretty fair question to start with, right? Why do we even have this whole field of study? It's not just about money or stocks, not really. The reason is actually something much more basic, something you and I deal with every single day. The answer is tied up in one simple, inescapable fact of life. And boom, there it is, scarcity. This is the big one. This is the core concept of all economics. Just think about it for a second. What we want as humans is basically infinite. But the stuff we have to get what we want, time, money, land, raw materials, that stuff is limited. It's finite. And this huge mismatch, this gap between our unlimited desires and our limited resources, that is the central problem that economics was created to figure out.
And look, scarcity isn't some weird abstract theory, it is everywhere. It's totally universal. A family farm, for instance, can't grow infinite crops because they only have so much land and so many people to work it. A weaver only has so much yarn to make a blanket. A teacher only has so many hours in the day and a specific set of skills. It hits every single one of us, from one person to a massive country.
So this is what makes scarcity so important. It forces us to make choices. Because you can't have everything you want. You have to decide what's most important. You have to prioritize. And that exact same logic scales all the way up. It's not just you or me making these choices. Entire societies are facing the exact same problem. A whole country has limited resources and has to decide how to use them.
In this reality, the fact that we're all forced to make choices because of scarcity means that every single economy out there, no matter how big or small or what type it is, has to answer three fundamental questions. These are the central problems that really define how a society gets organized. First up, what are we actually going to make with all our stuff? A society has to figure this out. Should we produce more food in houses, or should we make more cars and smartphones? Do we pour our limited resources into things like education and healthcare, or maybe into building up our military? It's a constant tug of war, a series of trade-offs between all these different needs and wants. Okay, so once you've figured out what to make, the next question is, how are you going to make it? Which resources do we use? Do we want a system that relies more on people doing the work, on labor, or do we invest in more machines and automation? Which technology is the best one to use? I mean, these decisions have a huge impact on everything from efficiency to jobs. And finally, we get to what might be the trickiest question of all. Who gets the stuff we just made? How do we distribute all these goods and services? Who gets more and who gets less? Does everyone get a basic minimum? Or is it a free-for-all where the market decides everything? This question, man, it gets right to the heart of what we think is fair and just in a society.
So, how do we even begin to think about these really tough choices? Well, economists came up with this fantastic tool that makes it all crystal clear. It's called the Production Possibility Frontier, or just PPF for short. All right, let's imagine a super simple economy that can only make two things, corn and cotton. This table shows the different combinations it could produce. So at possibility A, they could go all in on cotton, making 10 units of it, but 0 corn. Or way down at the other end, possibility E, they make 4 units of corn, but 0 cotton. And every letter in between is a different trade-off, a different choice they could make. Now, if you take all those possibilities from the table and plot them on a graph, you get this curve, and that's the production possibility frontier. Any point right on this curve means the economy is running at peak efficiency. It's the absolute maximum it can produce. If you're producing inside the curve, you're being inefficient. And trying to produce outside the curve, well, that's just impossible with what you've got. Okay, now let's look a little closer. To go from possibility A, where we're making 10 units of cotton, to possibility B, where we decide to make our very first unit of corn, what happens? Well, we have to give up 1 unit of cotton. See how it goes from 10 down to 9? That trade-off is a direct result of scarcity. To get more of one thing, you always have to give up some of another. There is no such thing as a free lunch. And this idea, this trade-off, brings us to maybe the single most important concept in all of economics, opportunity cost. The opportunity cost of getting that first unit of corn was that 1 unit of cotton we couldn't make anymore. It's not about money, it's the value of the next best thing you didn't choose.
every single decision you make has an opportunity cost.
So, given that every society has to deal with scarcity, answer those three big questions, and face opportunity costs, how do they actually do it? Well, broadly speaking, there are two main ways to organize an economy.
On one side, you have what's called a centrally planned economy. In this system, the government is in charge. A central authority makes all the key decisions: what to produce, how, and for whom. It's all coordinated through a big master plan. Then, on the other side, you have the market economy. Here, there's no central planner. Instead, you've got millions of individuals and businesses, all just doing their own thing, interacting freely. And how does it all work? Through prices. Prices act like signals, telling producers what people want. But here's the thing. In the real world, you almost never find a 100% pure version of either of these. Just about every country on Earth has what we call a mixed economy. They blend parts of central planning with parts of the free market. So the real debate isn't about which pure system is better, it's about finding the right mix, that perfect balance between government direction and individual freedom.
Now, to study these really complex mixed economies, economists basically use two different lenses. They have one way of looking at the big picture and another way of looking at all the tiny details.
And the difference is really all about scale. Think of microeconomics like looking at the economy through a microscope. It's studying the choices of individual people, households, and companies. It asks questions like, why does a cup of coffee cost what it does? Macroeconomics, on the other hand, is the telescope. It zooms out to look at the economy as a whole, focusing on the big stuff, things like total national output, unemployment, and inflation. You absolutely need both to get the full picture.
And that brings us right back to where we started, to the fundamental challenge. From scarcity forcing us to choose, to the systems we build to make those choices, it all comes down to this single, enduring question. What's the right mix? Which of these decisions about what to make, how to make it, and who gets it should we make together as a society, and which ones are best left to individuals to decide for themselves in the market? There's no easy answer, and that debate is what continues to shape our world every single day.